welcome to the Bleeding Metal podcast. My name is Martha, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm here with my lovely co-host.
Kiki, hello everyone, my pronouns are also she, her.
And we have a very special guest today. I'm so happy we have her in this podcast. A quick introduction from my side. She's probably the manager of the coolest up-and-coming metal bands in the world. I watch her live on Instagram and I always wonder how she does all the things she does, and I'm really happy she's here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm Lulu Davis and I'm an artist manager at Bands Management, and I'm also the founder of Raising Rockstars, which is a brand new initiative for up and coming and developing artists to gain a little bit more insight and knowledge how to grow their careers in the industry, and equally for people who are looking to develop a career in the music business. So if you want to be an artist manager or tour manager or work at a label or something like that, then I'm also doing consultations for that purpose as well. Hi, nice to be here.
Yeah, I have consumed, I think, almost all the helpful things you have put out so far for all the up-and-coming bands. I've learned a lot for my bands. Really tell me, how do you do all the things you do? Is there a secret? Is it just waking up really early in the morning and going to sleep very late, but also getting enough sleep, because else you can't have a active next day? Tell me a little bit about your life.
Coffee is a really great start. I can't start my day without a coffee. I have one here right now at the ready.
Very good.
That definitely fuels a lot of my mornings, and sometimes I do get up early, not super early, normally around 7:30. Start my day with just giving myself a little bit of mental space, preparing myself mentally for the day ahead. I do ice bathing as well, which definitely serves as an injection of energy a lot of the time. So that kind of refreshes me in the mornings. And I've been in artist management and running businesses for over 15 years now. So it's something that definitely comes with time and experience. It's very hard to do everything all at once all the time without honing some of these skills as well. I do a lot because I love the momentum that it brings to my life as well. And I really feel a deep sense of purpose in bringing other people's dreams to life. That's basically what I do on a day-to-day basis. And that's what artist management is for the careers of many creative people who have an insane amount of talent and who really deserve to have the spotlight shone on them. So that kind of fuels me and the motivation that I have to do a lot of things. But there are still project management skills that need to be honed. Having the ability to multitask, to problem solve, to damage control, and also just to deal with many things happening all at once. But I've tried doing less. Don't like it. I've really tried to scale down sometimes and give myself space and freedom to do other things in life. But I really feel that this is, and it sounds cheesy, but it's my calling. It's something that I wake up every day really excited to do. And I feel very fortunate because there are a lot of people out there who just don't have that. They wake up and they have jobs that they don't feel fulfilled or satisfied with, or they don't feel passionate about, or they don't have any hobbies. And sometimes I speak to these people and I really try and drill down as well. What can possibly make your life more fulfilling? And is there something as well that I can support with? And you sometimes get this even from musicians as well, because sometimes they're in like a rock and a hard place where they really want to pursue music full time. But in order to do that, they have to go to a job every day that they don't necessarily love, but it helps them finance or bring about the ability to do things like tour and make music. So yeah, it's an interesting one, but I feel very fortunate to be in the position that I am.
I love that so much. I feel so many things that you said. And first of all, I'm very glad that you are not part of the 4 a.m. crew. The whole super hustler people that need to not be bothered in the early morning hours in order to be productive. And at the same time, it's very interesting to know that there are these two layers to what you were saying is your calling and is also your profession and your work, that there's something idealistic to it, something that you feel fulfills you. It feels like almost spiritually. And at the same time, there are all the practical things that make that happen. And there's also this quality of, even when it is your dream and even when it is your calling that makes you so happy, it's still work. It still takes a lot of work. It can still be very exhausting. Like, we are all allowed to be doing what we love and still be tired.
Yeah.
Is that something you talk about as well, or you feel?
Yeah, absolutely. There have been many times where I've hit burnout over the years, and that's because I've not been able to manage my limits a lot of the time, and sometimes also not managing my own boundaries and saying yes to anything and everything without having any foresight for the consequences of what that may be. And sometimes that's also come as a sacrifice of my happiness and my well-being. And there have been times where I have really questioned, okay, what am I doing? Am I on the right path here? Am I working with the right people? Do I need to adjust anything? But over the years, I think that I've gained a really good understanding of the bands and the projects and like the professional partners that give me energy and that are worth being tired and a little bit burnt out over, rather than the things that are just a constant energy drain. And I think that sometimes like zooming out and just like taking stock of everything you have going on and who you're working with, and does everything align? Does everything actually meet what you want to achieve for your future goals and what you want to currently focus on? Because this industry is so hard. It's so competitive. It really is not for the faint-hearted. And the days are long. You don't work a standard 9 to 5. I try to structure it that way, but that's not the reality. And you've got evenings and you've got weekends, and when you sacrifice things, you don't go to birthdays, to weddings because you've gone to festivals, and you cancel appointments with friends because you've got a gig that you need to be at, or you're on the other side of the world, or whatever it may be. So a lot of sacrifice has to come with that. And also surrounding yourself with people that understand what you do and why you do it really helps, because not everyone understands what it means to work in the music business and the amount of time and energy that you put into your work, because a lot of people operate within this 9 to 5 Monday to Friday structure, and then they have their spare time in the evenings and spare time in the weekends. And I'm not doing that. I get home and then maybe I'm like recording a podcast or working on my website or doing an additional consultation or writing a newsletter or figuring out, okay, how to optimize certain things. Or maybe I have a different business idea that I want to explore and I'm doing some research. But again, call me crazy, but this is also my hobby.
I love that. Thank you for all that insight, and also for acknowledging all of the less glamorous parts of it, because I think it's really important, especially in the music industry, as you were saying, to emphasize on mental health and how we're all humans at the end of the day. We're not robots, and we do need to have some downtime and space to recharge our batteries to keep doing the creative and or any other kind of work that we're doing. We talked about that last year. We keep talking about this, but it was a big thing last year because there was the announcement of Bad Omens canceling their tour and their festival appearances very last minute due to Burnout. And a lot of people were disappointed and a lot of people were sad and mad even. But at the end of the day, even if it's last minute like that, of course, we should all strive to avoid those and to take care of ourselves from the very beginning and to not let it get to that. Yeah. But it's a very respectable decision to take care of ourselves so that we can also have a sustainable career in the end. It was good that Bad Omens canceled so that they can keep doing music for many more decades and not just a few more years at the top of their energy and strength and then nothing anymore.
Absolutely. And I think that one of the major components when you are an artist that is gaining momentum very quickly is that there are always more opportunities. There are more gig offers, there are more tour offers, there are more festival offers. There is pressure from management, labels, booking to release more music, to do more shows, to make more content, whatever it may be. And you generally find that the bigger you get, the more of a problem this becomes. And again, it all comes down to boundaries and strategy. And I think that it's hitting the sweet spot of finding the point whereby as a band you can maintain this momentum, you can do some really meaningful activities, you can do some key profile building tours, you can do headline tours, you could do a bunch of festivals, but you also have that time for yourself and to reclaim that energy, because when you're touring, it's so taxing. It's mentally, financially draining. They're long days. You're normally stuck on a tour bus or a bandwagon with the same people day in and day out. It's this thing that creates a lot of pressure, and not every human is built for that. You really have to be a very strong kind of person to withstand that level of pressure and have that resilience. And generally what we're doing with our bands nowadays, because we understand that this plays into a huge factor of longevity and having a sustainable career. So we're frequently having discussions with our clients and saying, what do you guys need? What is the maximum period of time you would like to tour? When are the best periods of time for you to tour? How long do you need to write a record? What are the finances? What do you need when you're away? How much rent or mortgage do you need to pay? Do you have a family? How long do you want to not be away from your family for? These kinds of questions. And we're just keeping this discussion moving, because if you don't have these conversations and you don't understand the needs of your client, you can just forget having any kind of long-term career in the music business, because they're going to burn out and then they're going to say, we don't want to do this anymore. And then nobody benefits. The band doesn't benefit, the label, management, booking agent, PRs, nobody benefits, because you have a burnt out band who don't want to show up every day and do the hard work because they've had enough of it. So yeah. I can totally understand why some bands, when they get to a certain size, say, you know what, we need to take a step back. We really need to reclaim this energy because we've put so much graft in. And a lot of the time it is this fear of missing out. If I say no, I'm never going to get this opportunity again, or we may lose out on some fans, or whatever it may be. And it really is hard.
Yeah. That's something that we talked about as well with Maria from Future Palace on a very recent episode. It just came out yesterday, because today is June 4th. Check it out. She said it was really helpful for her, and she learned that through therapy, to take care of herself and her mental health. That meant also saying no to some of those opportunities. Yeah. And I think that is really important as well, because we as humans don't always have good role models that set healthy boundaries, that teach you from early years, even from childhood, to make yourself the priority, to take care of your health first. And I think that is super important for us to keep learning even when we're adults, and also to apply those to our professional careers. And that takes me back to the name of your podcast and of your work as Raising Rockstars. You just recently rebranded yourself as Mother of Bands, which I love. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, about how you feel like you're raising the bands of the future?
Yeah, so since I started out, I was like 16, 17 when I started working in the music business. I had my first internship at Spine Farm at the age of 16 years old. I was still studying at the Brit School. I was at college. And from a young age, I've immersed myself with musicians and bands, and I've grown with them over the years as well. And it's interesting to see. I've seen myself grow, I've seen the bands grow, I've witnessed like various stages in career development from both my side and their side. And it does get to a point whereby, particularly as a female manager, these maternal instincts suddenly kick in sometimes. I feel very protective of my bands. I really am this person that wants to protect them, and I want to care for them. I want to ensure that their needs are met. And I'm really about the relationship side of things as well, because it's very easy in this industry to just be very business focused. And I think quite a prominent approach of a lot of people within the business, and that's fine. And we're here for that reason as well. But without this relationship building, without this care and nurturing of the people that you're working with, you can't really guide them to success if you don't really know who they are and how they're feeling. And if you don't have any kind of regard for that either, then you miss a lot of the points. Over the years, like one of my bands actually called me this maybe 10 years ago. I got a thank you card from one of my bands, and I think I got them on like a Download Festival for the first time, and they were nominated for a Metal Hammer Golden God. And I got like a card saying, "Dear Mother of Bands, thank you for your hard work." And then I got a little mug that said Lady Boss on it. And then there's these cute little nicknames over the years that have just stuck with me. And given the rebrand recently, obviously I don't run Incendio Music anymore. That was my first company. And I grew out of that. That brand is long gone now. And I just thought it was time for a change. And given that my goal is to raise rock stars and to develop the next generation of the music industry, I thought it was an appropriate little link there between raising children and being a mother, which maybe I will do also one day. But right now it's the bands. I have enough metaphorical children in my life right now.
If we think about the bands as children, do you see differences between the boys and the girls and everything in between? What are your observations? How do they develop differently? Do they have different obstacles they need to overcome or something?
That's a great question. Every band has its own individual members with their own personalities, with their own dynamics, with their own kind of personality differences, character trait differences. So I've witnessed a very broad scope of musicians over the years. And I don't know that I noticed like a distinct difference between like male musicians and female musicians, because I do predominantly work with probably 80% male musicians, and I have a few female musicians that I have worked with over the years. But women generally, they tend to be very organized, very good at being proactive and building relationships, and a little bit more structured on that side. I have to say that's one of the character traits that I really value as well when working with women. And that's not to say that the men are not like that either, because I have plenty of musicians who do encompass that trait as well, and they are organized and they are structured and all of these things. But I think as women, we generally like these tasks a little bit more as well. I don't know, there's something about having a good old spreadsheet and planning everything out and being a little bit more just, I don't know, like again, it's not specifically limited to women, but it's one thing that I have observed. I think it does depend on the band. It depends on the kind of music they make, their influences, their upbringings. There's so many different components that make the musicians who they are. And some people have challenges that are like, I just think about day to day. Like some people do have challenges with meeting deadlines. Some people do have challenges with writer's block. Other people have challenges with making content because they don't feel confident. Or some people have challenges with networking because they're quite introverted, but they love making music. So there's so many different things that we have to overcome. And normally the way that we do it within the bands is like this internal division of responsibility and identifying, okay, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Who wants to take responsibility for a certain role in the band because they feel like they can do that the best? And then together, everyone contributes, and then ultimately the outcome is positive. The worst kind of thing you want to be doing is this person isn't very good at this and they find it a challenge, but we're going to give them more tasks of this anyway because they don't like it. That's not how we work. That would just be awful.
Being women in bands, I think Kiki also has a lot of experience with these kind of things. For example, one story I have shared is that when I played bass with Horizon, one time I wasn't let into the backstage, even though I had my AAA pass. I was like, no girlfriend. I'm like, I'm not a girlfriend. I'm in the band. Can I please go through? Have you noticed these things happening as well or something like that?
Yeah, look, over the years, there have definitely been a lot of instances where someone has thought that I was someone's girlfriend or the merch girl or some other role in the band. I think one time that really stuck with me, and I won't name drop, but I had a band on tour with quite a high profile band. And much like you, I had my AAA pass and I was just walking through the corridor backstage. And the vocalist of the headline band, who I was like a big fan of, by the way, kind of approached me and was like, hey, where'd you get that pass? And I stopped in my tracks and I was like, whoa. Oh, hi, I'm really sorry. Please let me introduce myself. I'm Lulu. I'm the manager of the band that you guys invited on this tour. And he looked really embarrassed, actually. He was like, oh, okay, no worries. And I was just like, wow, like it really just goes to show that there was still a long way to go. And this was about 10 years ago, actually. So since then, I have to say things have gone a lot better. And one thing that this taught me, and I want to give this piece of information to everyone out there, is like, when you get to a venue, just go and introduce yourself to people. Go to the promoter, go to the venue manager, go to the headline band, knock on the dressing room door, go in. Hi, I'm Lulu. I'm the artist manager. I'm managing the band. Hi, I'm Lulu. I'm here with X band, or I'm a guest of whoever, or whoever you are. And I think it's about exerting a little bit of this authority. Not too much. You don't no one needs to go in and throw their weight around or anything like that. But just having this confidence and just being like, hey, I'm here and I belong here. This is my job. This is what I do every single day. And I'm here because we did all of the work to get here. And I think that that's something really important, because it's very easily that you can become dismissed and people will just automatically assume that you're someone else. It can be a little bit challenging, but I think, again, it's an interesting one because it can knock your confidence, but you also need to have confidence. It's something where you have to just go in and be like, no, I belong here. And if you don't like it, then tough. That's the reality. And I think there's been a lot more acceptance. I think over the past maybe 5 or 6 years, I've definitely noticed more positive progression in that regard. And I think also as my personal career has been more established and people know who I am and the bands that I represent and all of these components, the respect generally builds a lot more. But I understand it's very challenging in the early stages of someone's career when you're still looking to network, you're still looking to build the connections, you're still looking to be recognized, you're still looking to the way. And sometimes these things, they do just take time. But I think it's also really important to be empowered by the people that you're with. If you don't feel confident in introducing yourself, make sure your band members are doing it. Make sure that your colleagues are doing it. Make sure that, whoever that you've been conversing with via email, the promoter, the venue manager, the booking agent, whoever, if they are there as well, have them make some introductions for you, because then it just makes it a little bit more easier for people to actually just give you the respect that you deserve.
I think that's the most valuable advice I've ever heard.
Yeah, me too. I'm writing this down right now.
Amazing. I'm so glad.
Yeah, looking back, and damn, I should have done that from the very beginning. And I've also heard this from other podcasters and people in the music industry in general. They always say, first of all, you have to fake it till you make it, pretend that you belong there, pretend that people have met you before already, but also being kind, and you're reminding them of who you are because they meet so many people as well. And not to be afraid if you're at a social event and you see someone who's a very important figure in the industry you want to get into, just go there and say, hi, this is me. And if there's something you can point at and say, we met then and then or something, then even better. But just make yourself known, and also a good impression. I think it doesn't really need to be important people either. You can just go and introduce yourself to the cleaning staff at the venue and leave a good impression there. And people will remember you for that kind of thing as well. Yeah. So, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, 100%. And again, that's just something else I will add as well, is that kindness and respect and being someone who is professional and easy to work with goes such a long way in this business. There are so many people who have authoritative figures and high positions in the industry, but not necessarily the kindest or the easiest people to work with. And I think that's also, to gain respect, you also have to respect others.
True.
And I think that there's respecting someone and there's also fearing someone. And a lot of people bully their way a little bit through the industry because they're making big power moves and stuff, and people are a bit intimidated. But I think there's equal, if not more, power in being the person that is both respected for your work, but also because you are a decent human being. Mm-hmm. And that's coming to light a lot more nowadays, I think, because people can't get away with being an asshole as much as you used to be, because people would just call it out. Yeah. That's exactly it. And particularly when you're a band and you're growing, and let's say you're joining a support tour or something like that, being super professional, being kind, being hardworking, again, saying hello to everyone, introducing yourself to everyone, saying thank you to everyone, saying thank you to the band, to the promoter, to the agent, to the venue staff, the stage hands, any crew that have helped you out along the way. I mean, just leaving a really good impression is just so important, because it really will basically mean the difference of them inviting you again and you getting more opportunities in future.
Absolutely. In that sense, even though it can be such a challenge, especially when we go into the neurospicy spectrum and I don't know, with the social anxiety and or awkwardness, it can be a little more difficult. And I do think, especially for women, we get the imposter syndrome thing way more often. And it's really important to encourage each other to just have that confidence and do those kinds of moves and just Better to have said hello to one too many people than to then be the weird rude person that was looking at her phone the whole time. Happened to me once while we were coming in to do an interview, and half of the band didn't even look up to say hello. And I sat there with everyone in the same room, but only the two people that were meant to do the interview talking to me.
There are definitely some challenges in that regard. And I think that sometimes I have to say to myself, feel the fear and do it anyway. There are days whereby I don't really want to talk to anyone, or I don't feel like networking, or I don't feel super sociable. And as women, we also experience this because your hormones are a bit all over the place and you don't feel particularly like going out there and really smashing it. But you have to put yourself in that position anyway. Yeah, it can be difficult. And especially if you're in a position whereby you don't feel like you've been acknowledged, or other people in the room are not really taking any notice of you or even greeting you. Sometimes it can make you feel a little bit awkward, but that's on them. It's not on you.
Yeah.
True.
Since you've already giving out great advice, do you have an idea maybe of more things we can do to include more women and queer people in every part of the industry? So in the interview with Maria from Future Palace, we also had the topic of just trying to consequently hire more women for just everything. Do you have experiences with that? Because I think it's really hard, right?
Yeah, so I was at Inferno Music Conference a few weeks ago, and I was introduced to the Women in Live Music team there. And I'm also part of their Facebook group, and they've got a fabulous community over there where all of the female and female identifying professionals in the music industry exist. And we're frequently posting in there asking for people to fill roles and opportunities that we have. One thing I will say is that we're always just going to choose the best person for the job. It really hasn't got anything to do with gender or how you identify or anything like that. We just want the best person for the job, but equally we want to provide more opportunity for female and other identifying people. So there's never any limitation there. It really is a case of, here is an opportunity. We go to Women in Live Music, we'll post something in there. If we get people applying for the role and they're fantastic, amazing. If someone else sends a recommendation our way, but it's a guy and his work is amazing, we'll consider that as well. But I think that there are a lot more programs, initiatives and opportunities nowadays for people to get involved with, and festivals are recognizing this. I think record labels as well are looking at signing a more diverse roster of artists. I think that there definitely are more opportunities to be had out there, providing that you're active and you're talented and you're really doing something that this industry needs. We're always going to need amazing photographers, amazing merch people. We're going to need bands. One thing I will say is that like the booking agency world and the promoter world definitely could do with more women. It's so heavily male dominated, and also artist management as well. I work with more and more women nowadays at labels, so I think that's generally become a lot better over the years. But on the booking agency side, I definitely deal with probably 90% men. I have worked with female booking agents in the past, but there aren't a lot of them. I think musician representation is definitely increasing, and women are getting more confident in going out there and showcasing themselves as creatives and proving that they are capable performers, musicians, and pushing themselves more to the forefront. And I think that's a really important development in the business. So I do think we are moving in the right direction. The conversation just needs to keep moving, and there just needs to be more understanding and this openness to just understanding what's on the table here. What have we got? And really then giving the opportunities to the people who really deserve it because they're underrepresented, or they really deserve to have the spotlight shine on them because they're doing something that really is outstanding. And I think it's great now that there definitely is more conversation around this.
And that the conversation keeps going is also a very important part of it, because we shouldn't let it just be hollow words. We really need to, as an industry, as a scene, as fans as well, we really need to put actions behind our words and start supporting the more diverse bands, the more diverse festivals and concerts, etc.
Absolutely. Radar Festivals is a great example of a festival that really is honing in on their diversity and inclusivity. And I think nowadays, community is just such a huge element. And building communities online, building them in person. We have Discord channels and servers that our bands are using where community is built there, and people then go off and make their own little groups and they build their network and stuff in that regard. But I think there is much more opportunity more now than there ever has been. And there are a lot more initiatives that people can apply for and look to get involved with. And I think that the discussion is definitely coming more to the forefront now, particularly at music conferences and when festivals are booking their lineups and when people are curating tour packages as well and looking at the crew. Okay, let's look at the tour package, let's look at the crew, let's see if we can get a couple of women in there. So yeah, tour bus full of blokes is a very common occurrence, and sometimes that is just how it is. But whenever the opportunity arises and it's appropriate, then we'll always look to encourage that people work with more of a diverse team.
That sounds wonderful. I'm very happy to hear that also from your experience, that how much is changing, because from our perspective, sometimes it doesn't seem that things are changing, but if you have a longer time span to see things, there are different trends you can see.
Yeah, these things sometimes they do just take time. Humanity takes time.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's one thing. The development as humanity, we take time to have significant change. People just need time to get used to new ideas and new types of people and new movements in society. Thousands of years ago, religion was so prominent. And nowadays there are a lot more options of spirituality. Some people are still religious. Some people prefer to do mindfulness and meditation. And there's more and more things that come to the forefront of how to deal with certain problems in your life. And it's the same with career development. It's the same with industry development. It's the same with just life in general when we look at technology and how quickly that can change, but also how long we can take to adapt to it as well. So I think all progress is progress at the end of the day, and some things will just take longer than others. And I've been in the industry now for 15 years and I wish it changed as quick. It's changing a lot quicker now than it did for me at the beginning. At the beginning, it felt so slow, and it really was this uphill battle for at least 5 to 10 of those years. It really has been in the past 5 years that I've noticed more significant and more efficient change. So I'm definitely hopeful for the future that there will be a bit more of this equality for everyone involved, and that there are equal opportunities for everyone who wants to be in the music business. Because if you want to be here, then you should just be here. That's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. There is space, especially when we talk about women in the music industry. There's that one token woman and that space is filled, and then there's no space for more. There's absolutely more space for more, because we're all unique and we all have something different to offer. And fans also don't choose one band per gender and that's it. No, we listen to everything we can get our ears to. So that's exactly the way the opportunities should work as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were just saying 15 years in the industry. What has been your biggest achievement during those years?
I probably have to say getting Voyager to Eurovision in 2023. That was definitely the most notable and big career move for both me and for them, because taking a super small progressive metal band from the most isolated corner of the earth in Perth to a stage where your music is broadcast to over 160 million people. And this wasn't something that happened overnight either. It was something that took many years to build the relationships and the opportunity. So that's something that I'm very proud of, and I'm so proud of the band for really giving it their all, because this was something that we worked on tirelessly together. And it was just such an incredible experience. But we seem to be hitting milestones year on year with our bands. And that's just a really good feeling, because everyone is just progressing. And we've got bands at all of the major festivals across Europe this year. And we've had bands join some really notable tours, and they're selling out their own headline shows. And there are a lot of milestones that the bands hit individually, and they're all on different levels, but they're no less significant because for that particular act, it's meaningful. So that's a great sense of achievement. And I have Caligula's Horse supporting OPEF at the Sydney Opera House later on this year. And that's what I'm really excited about, that, because I was literally standing outside the Sydney Opera House earlier this year when I had Unprocessed on tour in Australia. And I turned around to John, my husband, and I was like, I need to have a band play there one year. And then literally 3 months later, I was like, I've got a band playing at the Sydney Opera House.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we have to manifest these things. We have to say them out loud, and then they will happen.
Do you know what? Manifestation is really so huge. A lot of people think it's bullshit. Oh, I don't believe in that kind of stuff. And I'm like, no, actually, do you know what? If you want it, just say it and then make it happen. If you suppress a lot of your desires and wishes in life, you're never going to achieve them. And sometimes I can be a little bit head in the clouds, I think, with a lot of my ideas and dreams and stuff. But Eurovision was exactly that. The Opera House thing was exactly that. But if you don't put them out into the universe and you don't actually do stuff to make steps towards making these things happen, then they're never going to happen. You just sit there with an idea in your head, waiting and hoping one day, oh, maybe this will happen one day. But a lot of the time, these opportunities, they don't just generate themselves. You actually have to take active steps towards making them happen, because with the oversaturation of this business, who's going to know about your band otherwise if you're not raising awareness of them? Or who's going to know that this could be an interesting combination or idea? Australia never sent a band to Eurovision before Voyager. They never even sent an artist from the West Coast. You have to educate the people and you have to make them understand why this is a great idea. These are the reasons why. And over time, you build that trust, and then eventually you can make it happen. And it's the same with bands building relationships with industry people. We're going to a festival every year and saying to them, hey, this is why you should book our band. And then they might turn around, or they may not even reply at all for the first 2-3 years. But then you go back and you go back and you go back again. And every year you're like, here are 10 more reasons why you should book our band. And then one day they turn around and they go, okay, you know what? It sounds like a good idea. But it takes time. That's the only thing I can say. So yeah, patience. Patience and manifestation.
I don't think manifestation is the super esoteric thing people picture it to be. It's not like I'm saying something and then just waiting for it to happen. It's more of a mixture between the more rational, setting a goal for yourself, but also being idealistic. And if you're going to dream big, because why not? If it doesn't happen, you can keep trying always, or you can modify your goals and look for other opportunities.
I think I will really try and focus on that manifesting and making things happen, because I'm a super introvert, so most people don't get it, but other introverts understand how much energy it takes me to talk to people and go out, because I always do it, but then I'm drained. So with my new band, Neurotitle, I've been dreaming about playing at Euroblast, and I always feel, yeah, but we don't have enough songs out, and we don't have this, and we don't have that, and then I don't want to bother people. And yeah, so I will take all my courage and talk to John and Danielle and just be like, I have a band. I'm sorry to bother you, but please listen to my music. Yeah, I will just do it. And if it doesn't work, I'll try again next year.
Yeah. One piece of advice, never say sorry for bothering you, because you're not bothering people.
Okay.
That's literally their job. Their job is to book bands and discover new talent. And so don't apologize and don't say sorry for bothering you. Say, hi, I'm here. Here's my new band. We'd love to play.
Okay, I will say exactly that. And then try
Verbatim. Lulu said. Lulu said to say, not to say, sorry to bother you.
So I won't do that, but instead I will say, hey, here I am. This is my music. We'll totally do that.
I'm sure they would love to have you. They're always looking for exciting new talent.
So this was the episode of encouragement.
A very encouraging episode. Lulu,
Yes.
to end things, what's your least favorite? What's your most favorite part about your job?
Oh, that's a tough one, actually. My least favorite part. There are definitely a few parts of this industry that I find challenging. It's hard to say whether or not it's my least favorite, because it's just something that you just have to deal with anyway. But a lot of the time you try really hard to plan. And I'm a person that really is forward thinking. I try to be as organized as I possibly can. And then a lot of the time, those plans just get completely thrown up in the air and you have to start from scratch again because something else comes in the way and all of your plans just go out the window. So I think maybe the unpredictability of the music business is definitely something that keeps me on my toes. I don't not enjoy it because I actually really enjoy finding the solutions to the problems. But sometimes it can be very stressful. So that's not as fun, let's put it that way. And my favorite part really is just making my clients happy, bringing opportunity to the table that allow them to be able to showcase what they can do to the world and having positive outcomes from all of the hard work that we do together. So yeah, that's my overall favorite part of it is just making other people's dreams come true. And it sounds really cheesy, but that's literally what artist management is.
That is so beautiful. People can find you on the internet at Mother of Bands on Instagram.
And at luludavis.co.uk. And you can also follow Raising Rockstars on Instagram, and it's at raisingrock.stars. But you can also find that linked on my profile. Thank you so much for having me. It was really good to chat with you both. Had a lot of interesting conversations. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. And to everyone out there, that's a very big podcast recommendation. Lulu has a podcast, has a lot of very useful and very practical information, especially for newcomer bands and band managers. So give that a listen. We will link all of these in the description. And that's where you can also find the links to our stuff. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube because you can watch this now as a video podcast as well.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. And see you next week.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.